Grit. Courage. Passion. Honor. This ambush is just a glimpse of a counter-terrorist operation conducted by the Indian Army. Encounters like this one require the soldiers to adopt superior guerrilla tactics to counter terrorists engaging in guerrilla warfare. Ambush involves a surprise attack on the terrorists from a concealed position. Ambush operations are usually conducted to neutralize small-sized terrorist teams posing a threat to the country and its people. The success of an ambush lies in the element of surprise, accuracy, and adequacy of firepower. The army generally carries out ambushes based on credible intelligence. To achieve a greater degree of success, most of the ambushes are planned well in advance. Carrying out a planned ambush requires detailed information about the number of terrorists, weapons in their possession, and their route plan. However, depending upon the intelligence obtained, many times hasty ambushes of opportunity are also employed. The leader of the ambush party plans in such a way that the entire ambush zone is covered by his team's firepower. The various teams are deployed as per terrain configuration. Their wait could last several hours, a whole day, or an entire night. Upon sighting the terrorists in a counter-terrorist scenario, the lookouts in the ambush squads signals the rest about its arrival. Once the terrorists enters the ambush zone, the soldiers do not fire immediately. They have to ascertain the authenticity of the terrorists. Besides, opening fire could warn the remaining terrorists who are yet to enter the ambush area. They wait patiently till they are absolutely sure that the complete terrorist party has entered the ambush zone. The entire team is alerted and lies ready for impending action. The primary goal of Indian Army during such ambushes is to capture the terrorists alive and get more information about their plans. Firing in counter-terrorist operations is resorted to only if the terrorists fire at the ambush party when challenged. The bulk of Army's counter-terrorist operations in India are being carried out by its infantrymen. The infantryman's acts of bravery and supreme sacrifice occupy a place of pride in India's military legends. The infantry is a self-contained unit of the army, which, if required, can conduct and sustain military operations on its own. For all practical purposes, infantry is like a mini-army, a multitasking force equipped with a range of weapons, vehicles, communication equipment, and specialists. In the battleground, the infantryman is usually the first to meet the enemy face to face. Infantry actions have remained integral to all the operations undertaken by the Indian Army so far. The infantry fights with the objective of capturing and holding territory. At the same time, it has a strong role in defending and guarding its own territory against any intrusions. This is an Indian Army forward post on the line of control in the northern sector of India. An infantry unit here guards Indian territory against enemy actions round the clock, round the year, in an extremely challenging environment. Patrolling this treacherous terrain, the soldiers have just one aim: to ensure that no unauthorized person crosses into the Indian territory. And it is not just the enemy guns that they have to guard against. The entire terrain and the weather conditions here are extremely demanding. Blizzards here can lead to severe frostbite in no time. Touching the metallic barrel of a gun with bare hands in this cold can sometimes peel off one's skin in no time.
The winters are really harsh and the temperatures really go down.
Winter temperatures in this area plummet to minus 60 degrees Celsius, leaving everything super frozen. Soldiers manning these posts routinely melt the snow on a stove to make water for drinking, tea, cleaning utensils, and other daily needs. Fruits, vegetables, and eggs compete with rocks in terms of hardness. With winters lasting for over 7 months in a year, the soldiers mostly survive on dry rations.
Serving a post like this is very challenging and very difficult. Somebody has to do it, and I'm glad that I'm doing it.
While keeping an eye on the line of control, soldiers don't have the luxury of slipping up. The infantrymen here work in buddy pairs and in rotation. Falling asleep at night is not an option, as anyone can easily sneak up under the cover of darkness.
It's a procedure that takes place every 2 hours. 2 hours, a person comes on duty, performs the duty. Next 2 hours, another person comes. Changeover takes place every 2 hours. But not all sentries on a particular post change at the same time.
Both of them stand guard. No one catches a wink.
We are always alert. I'll never say that our alertness levels go down. We are on full alert all the time.
The Stand To call is meant to check alertness levels and battle preparedness of the troops. It requires all the soldiers to come out of their bunkers and stand at pre-designated positions to counter the enemy.
Generally at dawn and dusk, it is a routine in which a whistle is blown or a pre-designated signal is there by which people move to their designated spots. These are the times when post is most vulnerable to enemy attacks.
braving complete isolation, an aggressive enemy and an extremely hostile terrain, these men from the infantry perform the most stressful duty of guarding the borders.
Vigil is what we are here for, and that is our primary task. We have a number of surveillance equipment.
Patrol parties routinely scout the areas along the line of control.
Patrolling is one of it's called asset test of a soldier, and it is more so in this area. There are various kinds of it, basically to gain info, routine administrative patrols, to dominate the LC, to move for a particular task such as laying ambushes and other. So various kind of patrols are there.
They keenly watch out for signs of enemy action, including attempts at intrusion, planting of explosives, and appearance of new structures. Patrolling is an integral part of infantry's efforts towards holding the country's defense. Snipers too play an important role in holding defended positions. Armed with sophisticated precision firing weapons, these sharpshooters are trained to hit their targets in a single shot. They usually are stationed ahead of their own defended positions. They fire and move with stealth, firing from different positions within a short span of time. This way, they help mislead the enemy forces and slows down its advance. This usually leaves the enemy forces in a disarray, compelling them to rework their plans. The snipers' advance actions give more lead time to the regular troops holding defenses to be prepared for enemy assaults.
They have to neutralize target at a very large standoff distance. This is a very tough job. You got to have a lot of patience. You have to have a good battle shot, as well as you have to have an eye for a detail.
The snipers also play a critical role in Army's counter-terrorist operations. Perched atop vantage points, they can quickly neutralize the terrorists during ambushes and cordon and search operations. When it comes to the northern sector of the country, the Indian Army has to play a dual role, guarding the line of control as well as countering terrorism within its own territory. The soldiers involved in counter-terrorist operations therefore require a different set of skills.
Counter-insurgency, you will all agree, is the backbone of the Indian Army as far as today's world is concerned. We may or may not get involved in a full-scale war, but counter-insurgency is a reality which Indian Army has to face day to day.
The rules of engagement here are not the same as in a conventional military battle. Before being deployed in a terrorist-infested environment and taking charge of the situation, they must retrain and orient themselves to the new challenges of counter-terrorism. Dealing with counter-terrorism is a completely different ballgame. To earn people's goodwill and establish a close rapport with those inhabiting the border areas of Jammu and Kashmir and the northeastern states, the Army launched Operation Sadbhavna in the year 1998. Under Operation Sadbhavna, the Army provides services like healthcare, education, skill upgradation, employment generation, local infrastructure development, women's empowerment through vocational training, veterinary services and disaster relief measures. The bridges constructed by the Army in this rugged terrain are the only access to these isolated areas. The Mission Army warriors get yet another rare opportunity to train in counter-terrorist operations. On the other side of the break,
it seems quite strong and it will protect our head, this patka and this jacket also.
We are basically going to be conducting a CASO today.
It feels so great. I'm in Kashmir. It's like heaven. Like you can see the snowfall right in front of me. I've never seen snowfall before, and it's like
ढगाल लागली का आणि बर्फ बदा गळा. So it's really very awesome over here.
बर्फ हमारे आगे मतलब साल की पहली बर्फ मैं यहाँ पर हूँ, मेरी जिंदगी की पहली लाइव बर्फ, तो काफी मजा है और इस बर्फ को मतलब कभी भूलेंगे नहीं और ये बहुत ही अच्छी है.
the government has mandated the army to perform specific internal security tasks in terrorist-infested areas of the country. And this is one of the toughest things these soldiers have to do, for their enemy is invisible. He speaks their language, lives among ordinary people, and has embroiled himself into the local culture and economic landscape.
It is a very dynamic situation wherein you have to first eliminate or isolate the terrorists from the common people, as well as win the hearts and minds of the common people, and then you have to neutralize the anti-national elements.
There is no margin of error in these counter-terrorist operations. The soldiers have to be doubly sure as to whom and what are they firing at. Collateral casualties of innocent people are simply unacceptable. The real challenge, in fact, is to avoid collateral damage at all costs and not let the civilians, women and children get hurt. In such operations, it is not about maximum firepower. It is about maximum effectiveness. Before being deployed in a counter-terrorist scenario, all officers and their men must familiarize themselves with the geographical, cultural, legal and operational peculiarities of the area.
Students are trained as to how to conduct various operations. When you go in for a village, how do you deal with the villagers in a humane manner, keeping all the aspects of human rights in mind? How do you cordon a village to ensure that the terrorists which are hiding or using the garb of civilians are cornered, segregated from the villages? How to mitigate the heartburns and the hardships that the villagers are facing? All these realities are brought home to these students, even if they have not had a live exposure.
They train and master the art of conducting cordon and search operations in a simulated environment before actually going on ground. They prepare themselves in cornering terrorists from amongst general crowd and ambushing them in densely populated areas using specialized weapons and equipment.
Now, in order to search a house, firstly, we give adequate warning to the residents of that house. We do not carry out the complete cordon of the village, but we cordon only the target house. Once the civilians are told to move outside, the security forces do a house entry drill, and after that, the security forces looks for hideout. The hideouts, the presence of militants can be there, as well as there can be arms and ammunition hidden in those. There are hideouts below the kitchen garden. There are hideouts where the entry is through a tunnel. There are hideouts which is found below the almirah. It is found in the kitchen, in and around the dining area, as also in the living rooms. There are hideouts which are found a mock or a false sewage tank, as well as in the cow sheds, where the hideouts can be there. After discovering the hideout, if the presence of militant is found, he is neutralized effectively.
The Mission Army candidates are given a close to real experience of conducted raids in thickly inhabited places.
You don't expose yourself to the particular place which you are searching. You should be wearing your protective equipment, which is the bulletproof jacket and patka.
Really very great feeling कि कैसे ऑपरेशन करते हैं हमारे इंडियन आर्मी के जवान and officers.
We are basically going to be conducting a CASO today, and right now we are going to be taken for a demonstration.
Even with the best of protective gear, the soldiers are quite vulnerable to terrorist attacks while conducting raids in populated areas.
It seems quite strong, and it will protect our head, this patka and this jacket also. So it's really exciting. I'm very happy for that.
Training is conducted using high-tech dummy guns equipped with a range of sensors and buzzers.
इसमें हम कहीं भी अगर इसके ऊपर सिस लेकर फायर करते हैं, इसके अंदर आवाज आएगी. ये आवाज तब तक आएगी जब तक ये खड़ा रहेगा, और लेट जाएगा तो ये आवाज बंद हो जाएगी.
Set है.
It remains to be seen as to who among these five will neutralize the terrorist in their task ahead. Keep watching.
This is the making of heroes. Watch 5 ordinary citizens survive challenges, endure rough terrain, drive tanks, train like a commando, get airdropped, fire field guns, para jump, and do everything that it takes to stand up to the force. The force that defines being a hero. National Geographic Channel gives you the exclusive access inside the Indian Army. A series unique and bigger than any other on Indian television. Experience this extraordinary mission of how heroes are made. Idea presents Nat Geo Mission Army Desh Ke Rakshak, powered by Samsung Mobile. Monday 10 p.m. only on the National Geographic Channel.
Mission Army warriors get a rare opportunity to conduct cordon and search operations to combat terrorists involved in anti-national and anti-citizen activities.
Okay? And since he was hiding in a hideout, it is very important to search it properly.
The operation was quite good, and I felt it was one of the finest operations done by the army.
On the house clearing drill, each one of you will be given a team of 5 men, and you will be the 6th man who will be acting as the section commander. The duration to carry out this search for you is 15 minutes.
हमें हमेशा ये सोचना चाहिए कि हमारे सामने दुश्मन कभी भी कहीं से भी आ सकते हैं. हमारी जो गन है उसकी जो एम है, it should always be on the target house.
And now it's the final test, because conducting such kind of operation will involve the crawling also, movement also, signaling also.
As usual, Kuldeep is only too happy to be the first one to take up the challenging task set up by his trainers.
This is your target house in front. House number T19 is one single building, but it has got two parts.
The task involves searching this house, finding and flushing out the terrorists hiding inside.
Clear about your task?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wish you good luck. Thank you, sir.
As a section commander, he is leading a team of 5 men who will work as per his plan of action.
आप सर पीछे वाले रास्ते से कवर करेंगे, सर आप आगे से जाके पीछे वाले से कवर करेंगे. तो मैंने जब उनको सेट किया, मैंने उनको बताया कि एक आतंकवादी है और हमें मूवमेंट करनी है, जो घर है उसको आगे और पीछे से घेरने की. क्योंकि मेरे को पता था गेट से एंटर करूंगा तो गेट से शायद सीधी गोली लग सकती है, आतंकवादी तैयार बैठा होगा. तो उसी हिसाब से मैंने अपने बंदों को पीछे से लेके गया, मैं साइड से गया.
Kuldeep commands his men with complete confidence, an essential quality for being a good section commander. The success of the operation, safety of his men, and avoiding any collateral damage are of paramount importance during these counter-terrorist operations. The army also has to ensure that the children, women, and the elderly are not harassed.
बड़ा ट्राई किया मैंने कि कहीं से कुछ दिख जाए, कहीं से कुछ दिख जाए.
Failing to find any terrorist on the ground floor, Kuldeep and his men head to the first floor when someone gets shot. Perhaps in a state of panic following the death of his teammate, Kuldeep makes the next faux pas.
असल में अगर बंदा कोई मर जाए तो उसकी जो एक बंदे को शॉक लगता है, एक ऑफिसर को, उसका जो बंदा वो मर गया, तो वो एक फील में उस समय हल्की सी समझ पाया कि कैसा लगता होगा उसे. मैं वहां से बैकआउट हुआ पीछे, फिर मैंने अपना रास्ता बदला और पीछे वाले रास्ते दूसरे वाले घर के अंदर से मैं गया.
In his desperation to find the terrorist and complete the task within the given time frame, Kuldeep changes his plan and enters the house from another side in his hunt for the terrorist who has already gunned down 2 of his men. While a section commander may need to modify his plan as the situation develops, but it seems that Kuldeep is acting in haste.
वहां से जाके मैं सेकंड फ्लोर पे पहुंच गया. पहुंचने के बाद मेरे जो 2 बंदे बच गए थे, तो 2 बंदों के साथ मैं ऊपर गया. ऊपर जाने के बाद मैंने देखा कि एक लैच बनी हुई है अंदर जाने के लिए ऊपर छत से.
Instead of throwing a grenade inside the hideout to flush out the terrorist, he decides to peep in and gets shot in the bargain.
मैंने पहले थोड़ा देखा था, ऑब्जर्व कराया था कि घर के आसपास देखो कुछ कहीं से दिख तो नहीं रहा. देखो क्या हुआ पता ही लगा. मतलब nothing else can be done now. I'm dead.
We have to carry out the complete search of the house and eliminate the 2 terrorists hiding there. And your time starts now.
Unlike Kuldeep, Rudrashish decides to move ahead with all his 4 men in tow.
We were as good as crawling on the ground when we approached the house. The first thing we did was go behind the house because we were told that never go in from the front exit because militants might just be waiting there.
Pace of action can often decide the outcome of such cordon and search operations. The idea is not to give time to the terrorists to think and take evasive action.
Every time we entered the rooms, our eyes were wide open, our ears were keen, we are ready to listen to even the slightest sounds.
Rudrashish's decision to make all his men move together with him slows down the search operation, as his entire team is forced to move in a linear style and not in a modular fashion. Time is running out on Rudrashish and his men.
So once we entered the attic, there was a little tense moment because the attic door wasn't opening and entryman 1 was trying to open it, and once he pushed the door open, the door actually fell on top of him. It was a pretty big roof and there were a lot of corners, there were a lot of places where anyone could hide, false walls. But every room we went in, we searched every corner, we searched the furniture, we opened all the containers, looked under the carpets for any trapdoors. I would say that we were working slow and steady, which is good, but since we were given a 15-minute time frame, it wasn't enough.
Minutes up. Sen Gupta, you can leave. Although you have searched very well, but then you have not found any militants. You could not find the militants. Okay, there are many hideouts in this house. It's a big house.
I think we searched pretty clean, लेकिन मिल ही नहीं रहे थे. काफी अच्छे से छुपे नहीं तो है ही नहीं, लेकिन है तो सही. बताए 2 मिलिटेंट्स है.
तेरे रक्षक रहेंगे हम, वंदे
my task was started, I briefed my men to take their positions and to enter the house from 2 different ways.
Rohan has decided to split his team into 2 parts and enter the house from 2 points simultaneously. So far, so good. A while later, Rohan has a change of mind and now follows a different route. Separated from his men, he is now all on his own.
तो उसके बाद मैंने क्या सोचा, I'll go enter the house from backside.
He is going against what his trainers have taught him, to move in tandem and to never lose contact and communication with his fellow combatants.
मेरे को सामने वाले रूम से एक बैरल दिखाई दिया बाहर.
Rohan has paid the price for not adhering to the basic principles of cordon and search operations. While conducting such raids, these soldiers must exercise maximum restraint. Barely 2 minutes into the operation, he has been shot by one of his own men, who in turn has been shot by none other than his own section commander. Professional soldiers are trained to be alert to the slightest hint of the enemy being around. Any unusual sound or any movement, including movement of shadows, is checked out swiftly. In these kind of operations, the soldiers just cannot take a chance.
Actually, पता ही नहीं चला in fraction of seconds. जब मैं विंडो के ऊपर से देख रहा था, suddenly he also fired and I also fired on him.
So this is the main entry of the house.
This is the front portion from where I am showing you your house.
उस समय मेरे मन में ये चल रहा था कि जो रास्ता उन्होंने दिखाया मैं वही रास्ते से अंदर जाऊंगी.
You can brief the troops here.
साथियों, आज हमारा टारगेट हाउस है T19. उनको गाइड किया कि मिशन जाने से पहले करना क्या क्या है और सब इकट्ठे जाएंगे, सब एक दूसरे कवर बनेंगे. That time I just changed my mind. I got reminded that you should never enter the house from the main door. So then I thought wherever we were settled that time, I thought of entering from there. My troops were on the left side, 2 of them, and I was slightly on the right. But then there was no cover onto my side.
Their enemy can watch them from top. While her men are situated close to the wall, Ela herself is positioned away from the wall. She could prove to be a sitting duck for the terrorist.
I thought he's giving me a cover from the left. I did not realize there was a window on top left. I think I did a wrong move.
It is only after being shot that she takes cover of the wall.
That very minute, I got shot from the militant and I was dead.
Had she remained close to the wall all through, the terrorist may have found it difficult to take aim at her. But now, it is too late.
Advance and advance along the wall and not here. That is why you got shot.
मुझे बहुत बुरा लग रहा है. Like, we are nearing the end and I'm just losing out on everything. Even sir was saying this, मतलब मुझे assess करने के लिए कुछ रहा ही नहीं बाकी. Because within 2 minutes I have become a casualty.
Okay. Here are your troops. 5 of them and you are the 6th.
19-year-old Priyanka is the youngest among her mission army peers.
I planned everything, but as my hands and my legs were so numb that I was not even able to move quickly or fastly. The soldier told me that come ahead, first number, who was the first number.
Moving in the open without any cover from enemy fire, Priyanka has repeated Ela's mistake and met the same fate as hers.
I was shocked that it's all over right now, the game was over because section commander is dead.
Whenever there is some open patch, you have to move swiftly, quickly. Okay, if you would have been quick, he would have fired at you, but then he would have missed you also.
Okay, but okay, fine.
I'm sorry, but then it's over for you.
This task is very difficult when it goes in a real situation, but very learning experience.
The task at the core battle school is over, with Rudrashish emerging the winner. He is followed by Kuldeep, Rohan, Ela and Priyanka. The Mission Army warriors had a day full of thrill and adventure. Now they head for their final mission to impress the men with the maroon berets. Inside the Daring Paratroopers, next week.